Fun Fridays number 8. The long-awaited film adaptation of the Broadway musical Wicked is hitting theaters in about a month. And, I have a few concerns about it. And since there was a whole controversy involving Cynthia Erivo and fan art, I figured now would be a good time to talk about some of the grievances that I've been having and I've also been seeing online. Now, before you get mad at me in the comments, I just want to say that I don't think this movie is necessarily going to be a bad movie. I'm just not as excited for it as I wish I was. Now, I'm not a massive fan of the Broadway show by any means. I think it's a good show. I think it's very well written. I really enjoy the music that's in it, but I don't think I'd put it anywhere close to like my top 20 musicals of all time. But that being said, a lot of people are very, very excited for this movie. And I can understand why. It was a Broadway phenomenon for years and people still haven't been able to see it. I just wanted to use this video to kind of break down the problems that I currently have. And this is my channel, which means I could talk about whatever the heck I want. But I personally don't know many people that are extremely excited to see this movie. And who knows, maybe you guys will agree with what I have to say, maybe you'll disagree. Who's to say until things have been said? But first, what's up? My name is Connor McDowell, and I'm currently campaigning to be People Magazine's Sexiest Man Alive for the year 2024. If you like this video, or you think I should be nominated, just click subscribe. One subscribe equals one vote for me to be super sexy on the cover of People Magazine. This is my lifelong dream, so if you don't subscribe, I'm gonna take it as the fact that you hate me and you want me to die. Also, this video is about movies, so you should totally go follow my letterbox where I talk about every single movie that I watched. You should also follow the new Twitter that I made because I'm one of the only sane people left on that platform. Before I talk about all of the things I'm worried about when it comes to the Wicked movie, I just want to take a second to talk about what I think is actually going to be good in these movies. I think the performances across the board are going to be pretty great. Cynthia Erivo is a very, very talented actress and singer, same with Ariana Grande. I have no doubt that they will at least be good in these roles. I also have a feeling that a lot of the musical numbers are going to look pretty freaking great. I am personally most excited to see how they do One Short Day, because I think that musical number has the potential to be really fun to watch. I also love John M. Chu's other films, specifically Crazy Rich Asians and In the Heights, so the movie at least has that going for it. Now for the things that I'm actually quite worried about. First of all, in case you don't know, they are splitting the Wicked musical into two separate movies. The first movie is going to be Act 1, and the second movie is going to be Act 2. This, to me, is kind of insane. I understand that they're going to be adapting more of the book into the story, but I've also heard that the book is, like, extremely middle-aged and is also much darker than the show is. So I'm not quite sure how they're going to balance that tone. And the runtime of Wicked Part 1 is going to be longer than the entirety of the Broadway musical, which has me very concerned. How are they going to fill up that time? Is there enough extra stuff from the book that's not in the musical that's necessary to tell this story? Are we going to be cutting any musical numbers? Are we going to be adding more musical numbers? Are we going to be replacing them? I genuinely have no idea, and I personally wouldn't have a problem if they added new music, as long as Steven Schwartz is the one that gets to write it, because the man is still alive, and I swear to God, if they just hired some young pop composers to write some new songs, I'm not gonna like it. I'm also curious as to how much is being added from the book, because like I said, the book is very mature, it's very adult, so I'm not sure if adding some more of these mature themes into a musical that's made for children is necessarily going to work the best. I'm not opposed to it, but I'm worried it's just not going to work tonally. Also, I just started reading the Wicked book, and I'm hoping to get at least halfway done by the time the movie comes out. I haven't gotten far into it, but already I can see the stark differences, and I am very, very curious to see if they're going to add this scene into the movie.
The widow kissed the puppet husband and pulled off his leather trousers. He was equipped with 2 full sets of male goods, one in the front and another one hanging off the base of his spine. The widow positioned her daughter on the abbreviated prong in the front, and herself took advantage of the more menacing arrangement in the rear. The 3 puppets bucked and rocked, emitting squeals of glee. When the puppet widow and her daughter were through, they dismounted and kissed the adulterous puppet husband. Then they kneed him simultaneously, fore and aft. He swung on springs and hinges, trying to hold all his wounded parts.
That is an actual excerpt from the Wicked book by Gregory Maguire. I wish I was joking. And that's not to mention that this is literally on page 13. And I'm also just worried that there's not going to be enough content to fill 2 3-hour long films based on 1 2.5 hour long musical. The next reason I'm concerned about this Wicked movie is probably my top reason as to why. The entire movie seems to be CGI. My big fear is that the Wicked movie adaptation is going to look exactly like a Marvel movie. I don't want that. I don't think movie musicals should look like they are Marvel. Call me a snob, I guess, but I think there is a way that these effects could have been done practically that would make them look better. A lot of the green screen that's being used, it's all CGI, and it feels weird. There are also shots of Dorothy and Toto, the Tin Man, the Cowardly Lion, and the Scarecrow, and they're all fully CGI rendered. And that makes me feel kind of fucking weird. In the case of Dr. Dillamon, I understand why they used a CGI goat, like he's a goat in the book, but in the Broadway musical, he's kind of this half man, half goat hybrid. I would have rather seen a man dressed as a goat than a CGI goat. Hell, I would be happy if they used a real goat and just kind of did it like Babe. Something about the CGI goat just makes me really nervous. The flying monkeys specifically, I feel like we could have done without CGI. In case you don't know, this is what the flying monkeys look like on Broadway. They are quite terrifying. And this is what the flying monkey is gonna look like in the movie. I didn't know I was watching a Planet of the Apes movie. I personally just think it looks a little fake. I didn't even go into the possibility of them using Jim Henson style puppets. I'm talking about like hyper realistic puppets. Like in The Dark Crystal or even Star Wars, you know? All of it just kind of feels uncanny valley to me. And that's not even to mention how flat and bland the colors look. When you compare how this movie looks to the Broadway musical, or even the original Wizard of Oz movie, which I just rewatched yesterday, the colors in this film feel like there was a filter slapped over the entire thing. They don't feel bold and exciting in the way that I was expecting them to. They feel kind of subdued, I guess. There's something so striking about the Broadway production and how green it is. There's different shades of green, there's different shades of pink, and it's extremely vibrant. Now, I'm just not getting that from the color palette of this film. Same with this still of Ariana Grande. Something just feels really fake and artificial about it. And take a look at this still from what I'm assuming is going to be Defying Gravity. The sky here is brown and gray and muddy, but if you look at Defying Gravity when it's on Broadway, the thing that makes it so exciting is that the stage, at least in the very climax, is completely black, and you only see Elphaba flying. It gives this sense of grandeur and importance that at the very end of Act 1, you see only Elphaba. This, to me at least, just doesn't feel like it's going to capture the essence of that moment as well as it should have. Also, this doesn't have anything to do with the quality of the film or anything, but in every single Wicked trailer, they have this line that Jeff Goldblum says. Something like, the best way to bring people together is to give them a good enemy. But because it's Jeff Goldblum, he says it in a weird Jeff Goldblum kind of way. And it kind of sounds like he's saying the best way to bring people together is to give them a good anime.
The best way to bring folks together is to give them a real good anime.
And I've thought that for the past like 6 months, ever since the first trailer dropped. And anytime I hear it, I can't help but chuckle a little bit. Because honestly, he's right. Even though I don't really watch anime, I agree with you, Jeff. That's what we really need right now. I'm also worried because it feels like this movie exists only as a cash grab. Everywhere you look, there is some sort of promotion for this film. And a lot of it does make sense. It's a film oriented towards children, so having Lego sets and dolls and microphones that spoil how songs are gonna sound in the movie. That all makes sense. But then you get shit like the Regal popcorn buckets that they're putting out. And you know, there's nothing inherently wrong with these at all. You know, I think they have very nice designs to them, but they are specifically designed in a way to make you, as a fan, feel like you need to buy both. I've fallen for stuff like this before, don't worry. I am not a stranger to popcorn buckets. I've been getting popcorn buckets for years at this point. So to me at least, there's nothing specifically wrong with these popcorn buckets. But these aren't all of the popcorn buckets that they have made. There's also this one that's supposed to look like a lantern. You also have Elphaba's hat, but turned into a cup. I feel like this would have been a better idea for the popcorn bucket. You know, you turn the hat upside down, you put the popcorn in the hat. Why is it a cup? Who is going to ever use this ever again? I mean, I guess if you're like a diehard fan of Wicked, it's not gonna matter because you're gonna want as much merchandise as you want. Believe me, I've been there for certain things. But this just kind of feels a little bit exploitative. Some of you guys may have also seen this, but this is probably one of the most insane marketing things I've ever seen for a movie ever. Put away your Spider-Man Pop-Tart because a new boss has entered the ring. And I'm talking about the mystery color macaroni and cheese. You either get pink for Glinda or green for Elphaba. I don't think I know many people that are gonna want to eat green mac and cheese. I think the funny part is that it's a surprise, right? So you don't know if you're gonna have to eat green mac and cheese or not. Pink mac and cheese I don't think is that big of a deal. Like, it's still a little fucking weird, but green mac and cheese just feels like a total put off and something I'm never gonna want to eat ever. I also kind of feel like it's a cash grab because they are making it in 2 parts, and usually the only reason you would take one book and split it into 2 parts is if it's absolutely necessary or if you just want to make money. I'm also worried that the public reaction to the film is not gonna be what fans of Wicked want it to be. I think general audiences might find the movie a little bit too fan-fiction-y, especially when part 2 comes around next year. Because if you know nothing about Wicked, Act 2 of the musical is kind of crazy, and it kind of goes all over the place. And it's one of the reasons why I'm not a massive fan of Wicked to begin with. And it can be quite shocking. I'm also concerned that because it is a part 1, the whole movie is gonna feel like an incomplete story. I feel like this would be kind of similar to if you split Into the Woods into 2 separate movies. The first movie is Act 1 of Into the Woods, where they're trying to find all of the items, and then the second movie is going to be Act 2, where things start to go to shit. I don't know if there's enough of a setup and payoff, or if there's going to be too much setup in this movie and not enough payoff. I don't know, I'm a little worried about that. I would be expecting critics to maybe not love this movie as much as you do. When it comes to the movie's success as a whole, it's going to be a very, very financially successful film, I don't have a doubt about that, but I feel like the marketing is just not very great for this film. First of all, they're not marketing this film as a part 1 anymore. They've completely dropped the idea that there could even be a part 2, probably because they don't want people to feel like they're getting an incomplete story when they go to the movie theater. They are quite literally using the end of the movie to market the entire movie. Defying Gravity comes at the end of Act 1, and if this movie is adapting Act 1 of the musical, then the movie is going to end with Defying Gravity. So why on earth are they using the end of the damn movie to market the entire movie? That doesn't make any fucking sense to me. At all. Yes, it's the most popular song for the musical, and I understand that you're gonna want to use at least a little bit of it, but in every single Wicked trailer that I have seen, they use the very end of the Defying Gravity song, which marks the very end of the movie. Can you imagine any movie trailer giving you, like, the final scene for the trailer? That's crazy. Like, yes, sometimes they show bits and pieces of the final moments of a film in a trailer, but I cannot stress this enough, that the entire trailer and almost the entire marketing for this film revolves around the end of the goddamn movie. Something that I need to touch on while I'm talking about the marketing before we move on to the next really big thing is the posters for the film that have been coming out and how not great they are, in my opinion at least. This is the first one I ever remember seeing, and I think it's actually quite cool. You know, you have Elphaba and Glinda standing next to each other, and they're creating the W for Wicked. I don't know if this was ever an official poster used. I think it was. But I really like how minimal this poster is. You know, it doesn't give too much away. I like the original Broadway poster for the same reason. This is the copy of the book that I have, and this is what the poster for the Broadway musical looks like. You know, it's very simple. There's a mysterious element to it. It doesn't tell you everything right away, which is what I think we've gotten to when it comes to movie posters now. This, however, I don't think the creation of Adam is gonna sell tickets to Wicked. This one I don't hate as much. It still feels very Marvel-ish, but I like that the 2 main characters are farther away from the camera. I really like that. I think that works a lot better than something like this, where they're just looking over their shoulder back at us, the audience. I don't think this works nearly as well, especially when you can just tell they posed in front of a green screen for these photos. Everything in this poster just looks artificial. There's nothing that looks real, which I think is my main problem. Because if you look at the original Wizard of Oz film, everything in that is real, and that's what makes it so beautiful to look at. I'm worried it's just gonna be a bunch of CGI mess with some cool colors in it. They've also released individual character posters like it is a Marvel movie. We get Bowen Yang's character, he gets his own poster for some reason. Fiyero gets his own poster, which makes sense, he's the main love interest. Looks like we're about to see a scene from Equus here, though. Here's one of Ethan Slater as Bach, shows him being a quirky little fella. I'm also not a big fan of this character poster because Ariana Grande looks fake, and I think that is because everything around her isn't real. But there is one character poster that baffles my mind, that is so ugly that I don't know how it got past anybody at all. Poor Michelle Yeoh as Madame Morrible, because for some goddamn reason, they made her look like Agatha Harkness. Like, this literally just looks like a poster that I would see for Agatha All Along right now. You could put Agatha All Along on this poster, and I would 100% believe that it was straight out of a Marvel movie. I do not like this. I don't care if she has powers and she's like a very powerful sorcerer. This is dumb and stupid. And I really, 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 really hope that magic in this movie is not displayed like this, because it would literally just be a Marvel movie at that point. Now, I know what you guys have all been waiting for. There has been controversy surrounding one specific poster for the Wicked movie, and that's this poster of Ariana Grande whispering into Cynthia Erivo's ear. Now, normally, a poster like this wouldn't spark any type of controversy. This poster is an homage to the original poster for the Broadway musical. I think that the human version of this looks not great. I think they could have done things to it to make it look better. Now, here is where the controversy starts. There's a fan who is very, very excited for this new Wicked movie to come out, so in order to flex that creative muscle, they edited the photo a little bit to look closer to what the Broadway poster looked like. For me, you look at this, it's completely harmless, right? And it does, it looks a little more similar to how the Broadway poster looks. Now, Cynthia Erivo did not take kindly to this at all and made this post on her Instagram story. "This is the wildest, most offensive thing I have seen. Equal to that awful AI of us fighting, equal to people posing the question, is your green? None of this is funny, none of it is cute. It degrades me, it degrades us. The original poster is an illustration. I am a real-life human being who chooses to look right down the barrel of the camera to you, the viewer, because without words, we communicate with our eyes. Our poster is an homage, not an imitation. To edit my face and hide my eyes is to erase me. And that is just deeply hurtful." And a lot of people, frankly, were caught very off guard by this post, because the edited poster was made by a fan who was excited for the movie in the first place. But apparently Cynthia Erivo didn't take it as that. She took it as people trying to erase her from the film that she is starring in. First of all, they didn't really digitally alter her face. They added a shadow over her eyes and moved the hat down a little bit, and they made her smile. Like, that's it. But the thing about this post that upsets me personally is how she said that it is the wildest, most offensive thing that she has seen, equal to the awful AI of them fighting, and people posing the question, is your green? One of these things is not like the other. You have a very valid criticism of AI and sexual harassment. The specific AI she's talking about that made her and Ariana Grande fight is horrifying. I hate it. I think it is genuinely one of the scariest things I've ever seen in my entire life. And it also destroyed the environment a little bit in order to exist, so. And the other one is just straight up sexually harassing her. Like, if people are going up to her and actually asking her this question, that's sexual harassment. But to me, those two are not the main point of the post. The main point of the post is to call out a fan-edited photo. Like, she literally just posted fan art on her profile and was like, look how terrible this is. This sucks ass. And I'm gonna be real with you, I don't like the digitally altered photo either. I'm not a fan of the original, and I'm not a fan of the digitally altered thing. I just think it doesn't work. They didn't take her out of the poster. They didn't replace the actress. They didn't do any of that. They just kind of covered her eyes. And I think it's also important to note that they also edited Ariana Grande on this poster and obscured her face a little bit more. I know that this wasn't an attack against Cynthia Erivo, but she took it as one and she posted it on her Instagram. And I feel really, really bad for whatever fan made this poster. I do want to link a video by a creator, D'Angelo Wallace, where he talks more about how he feels about the situation, just in case you don't want to hear my personal opinion about it, which I think is totally fair. I've also seen reactions to Cynthia Erivo's posts to be really split. On Facebook and Instagram, you have people being very, very supportive of her, and then over on Twitter and Reddit, I see more people being critical about it. I've seen people point out that there's actual racism happening right now, and that this fan edit for someone who was actually excited to see the film isn't that. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is the Oscars, because a lot of people think that the Wicked film is going to get nominated and it's going to win a lot of Oscars. And I'm here to just ask you to please temper your expectations. I think that this Wicked film could get maybe 1 or 2 tech-related nominations. I don't think it's going to get a Best Actress nomination. I don't think it's going to get a Best Supporting Actress nomination. I think if there's new music, it has a good chance of winning Best Original Song. Even though this movie is going to make a lot of money, I don't think that necessarily guarantees it to be an Oscar contender, especially for a Wicked Part 1, when the story isn't even complete yet. I also just think that Wicked might get completely overshadowed at the Oscar by another movie musical that's coming out called Amelia Perez, which you may not have even heard of yet. So I don't know where it's going to stand with the Oscars, because obviously we haven't seen the film yet. And maybe it surprises us and gets nominated for a bajillion awards. I don't know. I just think that it's probably not going to get as many nominations as a lot of people think it will. So that was the last real problem I have surrounding the Wicked film. This is quite a long video, especially for a Fun Friday, but with the controversy that just came out around the film, I feel like I just had to talk about all of the thoughts that I have surrounding this film. I think whether the movie is good or the movie is bad or the movie is mediocre, it's important to remember that this is still a part 1, and we're gonna have to go through all of this bullshit again next year. Alright, well that's gonna be it for me today. If you like this video, don't forget to click like and subscribe if you think I should be nominated to be People Magazine's Sexiest Man Alive for the year 2024. Do you agree with the things that I had to say? Do you disagree? Are you really, really excited for this movie? Are you also really, really worried for it? Let me know in the comments. You can follow me on all of my social media, including my Instagram, my Letterboxd, my Twitter, my Twitch, etc. And if you want to become a bigger part of my community, you can join my Discord. The links for all of those are in the description down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.